Praise Vavra! The gameplay teaser for the new KCD just dropped and the internet is abuzz with hype. But of course, nobody is saying what I'm thinking, so I had to make this video to explain to my students exactly what is going on here. Daniel Vavra, this very distinguished gentleman, is the genius writer and director of your beloved game, Kingdom Come Deliverance. And you should never make a video about the game or utter a sentence about KCD without giving the appropriate dues to this genius. Please, have some respect. Every time you talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance, you should preface it with a detailed description of the history of the world's finest game designer, and it should go something as follows. Daniel Vavra started his career in game design working as a 2D texture artist for Illusion Softworks when he was given the opportunity to direct a game based on his own script, a game called Mafia: City of Lost Heaven. The game turned out to be a masterpiece to rival GTA 3, one of the most realistic timepiece video games ever to be produced, winning national and international recognition. Mafia 2 is based on his writing too, though he left the company during development, which was cut short. His original script involved a second playable character, a cop that investigates the crime committed by Vito and Joe, who, in the words of Vavra, are irredeemable psychopaths. In Mafia 1, Tommy was a reluctant gangster who was essentially good-hearted, and the message of the game was strongly against crime or violence. Vavra stated that his written dialogue for Mafia 2 in the final version was changed to glorify violence, and the message was lost. This is why Mafia 2 had such an awkward ending and why the gameplay feels half-baked. Shortly after leaving 2K Games, Vavra co-founded Warhorse Studios and began development on Kingdom Come Deliverance, continuing his pattern of creating time-accurate masterpieces. From my perspective, the games Vavra produced were in the same league as GTA and other Rockstar games. I started playing GTA 3 and Mafia at the same time, and Mafia was the more realistic, more meaningful, more grown-up brother of GTA. Mafia 2 came out shortly after GTA 4, although I have to say Mafia 2 was a huge disappointment, whereas GTA 4 was one of the best games ever made. There are a lot of people who rate Mafia 2 very highly, but I doubt they were obsessing about the game years before it was released. I'm sure Mafia 2 would have been a lot better had they actually delivered what they had promised, or what Daniel Vavra was trying to achieve, because I remember a lot of talk about being able to use any object in your environment as a weapon, and how every object could break into 42 pieces, and there is even development footage online of Vito using melee weapons, but none of that made it into the game. The point is that 2K cut the game short, and it just wasn't as good as it could have been had they just kept listening to this guy. Later, Rockstar released Red Dead Redemption 2, and in the same year, Kingdom Come Deliverance was released. We won't mention Mafia 3 because Vavra wasn't involved. He did have a script for it which was set in the same period that involved multiple playable characters, but it wasn't the script that 2K used. Red Dead Redemption 2 and KCD actually have a lot in common. While RDR2 obviously being the superior game in terms of technology and financial success, KCD was made by a much smaller company as a new project based on entirely new IP, and I would say it beats RDR2 in many ways. For one thing, it's more historically accurate. Of course, with Red Dead Redemption 2 being set in a fictional part of the USA, whereas KCD's story takes place in a historical setting amidst historical events. I believe Kingdom Come Deliverance may be the most historically accurate game ever made. There are other things that I prefer about Kingdom Come Deliverance, such as the 100% accurate save system, the quick looting, the RPG aspects, crime, actually posing a challenge to the player, more severe real-world consequences for your actions, and the list goes on. While there is a lot to like about Red Dead Redemption 2, I played these games at roughly the same time, and I would say that KCD gives RDR2 a good run for its money. They are on the same level, I would say, despite the fact that RDR2 is a groundbreaking narrative masterpiece and a new benchmark for non-linear storytelling made by one of the largest game companies in history. And it's all because of this guy. It's not like Rockstar is competing with anyone else. There isn't another big company churning out open-world crime games that compete with their games. There is just this one bearded dude with radical ideas about how games should be made, losing his job at one company and rising like a phoenix to create what amounts to the most accurate simulation of history we currently have. Czechs make the best games because they have the best philosophy on how we create games. My favorite lecture on game design comes from a member of the Warhorse team, Victor Boken, talking at GDS 2017 in a video entitled Honest Game Design. In it, he describes the way that game designers cheat in order to make games more accessible to stupid people and make more money, and that when you are making games, you have to choose between making money and making an honest game. For example, in Mafia 1, you often had to look after your NPC teammates who would join you on missions and fight alongside you. They could be killed because they had hit points just like you, and bullets would reduce those hit points. Similarly, they could fire bullets that would hit the enemy and decrease their hit points. In other words, the system was honest and realistic. There was no modern-day cheating where the NPCs would fire at each other forever without taking damage. One of the most common complaints about Mafia 1 is that Paulie keeps dying, and this is something that I personally never had an issue with. If Paulie died while I was playing, I assumed that I made a mistake and that I should play better next time. Victor has numerous examples of this kind of cheating in games, so I highly recommend checking out the video if you are interested in game design or want to know more about his philosophy towards game development. This philosophy is something that I have seen play out in all of the games from these studios, such as Hidden and Dangerous 2, another fantastic title from Illusion Softworks, and then of course KCD. Rockstar has a different philosophy to their game design, and it's not necessarily worse, it's just not realistic or honest. It is, and always has been, more arcadey, and arcades were great at making money. To conclude, I am very excited for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I just want everyone to give the proper recognition to Daniel Vavra, his team, and the Czech Republic in general for giving us many great games over the past 25 years. I remember talking to my uncle about Minecraft and I mentioned Notch and he was like, whoa, Notch? Like Slash? Game designers are like rock stars now? And I said yes, because to me, Sid Meier, Peter Molyneux and Will Wright have always been rock stars to me. And I want other people to see them that way too. We get caught up in the branding and the divisions between the various companies, and we place our trust in them. But don't forget that it's the individuals that make the difference in the end. The companies want us to believe in the brand or the symbol, but I'm telling you now that it's the same kind of thinking that produces fascism. People in groups are really dumb, but they can do amazing things when led by great individuals. And we need to identify who these people are and give them the recognition that they deserve. Class dismissed.